Hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome into a very special episode of the Chiefs Report. Today, we're previewing our season opener against the LA Chargers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. That's tomorrow night. But before we get into our 3 keys to victory, which we're going to run through, I want to hear from you guys. Who do you have in this one? Let me know in the comments. If you're rolling with our Chiefs, type KC. If you're rolling with the Chargers, type LAC. Let's get right into this thing. All right, Chiefs Kingdom. Like I said off the top, we are talking about our season opener against the Chargers today. It kicks off tomorrow night, and we've got 3 things we're going to break down for you on the way into our preview. Starting off with an injury report. We've got a couple players on the team who are currently injured, 2 rookies to discuss. Then we've got our keys to victory. I've got 3 major keys to victory for you guys that I want you to keep an eye on throughout the game. And lastly, I need your guys' help. I need you to subscribe for more Chiefs content. I need you guys to let the bosses know you like what I'm doing here on the channel and lock us in. Hit that bell because we're going to have a ton more content. Maybe we can even get some watch parties going eventually if enough of you guys are getting down with us. So go ahead and lock us in. Do not miss out on content this season. Subscribe today. There has never been a better day to do it, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and get into this Chiefs injury report, starting with Jalen Royals and Omarr Norman-Lott, the only 2 guys on the Chiefs injury report, I should say. And if you saw our video yesterday, you're kind of already familiar with these situations. Jalen Royals is something we've been monitoring over the last few weeks. He's dealing with knee tendonitis. It's kept him out of practice. It's something Andy Reid has said he was hoping he would be able to get back to week 1, barring a setback. But unfortunately, setback has arrived. So no Jalen Royals in week 1. He did not travel with the team to Brazil. Omarr Norman-Lott, on the other hand, our second-round draft pick out of Tennessee, did travel with the team to Brazil. But at this point, he's still questionable with an ankle injury that's had him limited throughout training camp. He's been dealing with that. Steve Spagnuolo said he's just been struggling to get ramped up. He was performing quite well during the preseason and in some sections of training camp practice. But once that injury hit, it's just been really hard for him to get ramped back up. So not expecting to see him in week 1. On the Chargers end of things, we do have an injury to note for them, and it's one that's pretty significant in my opinion. Elijah Molden is currently questionable to suit up. He's dealing with a knee injury of his own. And if you're not familiar with Elijah Molden, he had a bit of a breakout year in LA last year, signing a free agency contract with them, coming over from the Tennessee Titans, and playing his best season so far. So if they're down Elijah Molden, I think that plays right into our hands. We'll get into our need to have a receiver step up later in the video when we talk about keys to victory, but that's definitely going to be helpful if they're missing one of their key corners. Speaking of getting into those keys to victory, let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's not waste any more time. And the first one is stopping the run. Something we all know about Jim Harbaugh teams is that they want to beat you on the ground. They want to establish the run, dominate you in the trenches, and Omarion Hampton is going to be their key to doing that. Najee Harris is still, I'm going to laugh here, and I'm sorry, Najee, it's not funny, but he did have an unfortunate incident this offseason with a firework over 4th of July. So I really expect them to be heavily leaning on Omarion Hampton. And we know, like I said, Harbaugh's going to try to establish the run. If you look at his first year in LA, their splits in wins and losses are dramatic. If they can establish the run, if they can get towards that 130 rushing yards per game, they're probably going to win. But if you can hold them on the ground, if you can make their offense one-dimensional, force Justin Herbert to throw the ball more than he wants to, you can beat the Chargers. We saw that time and time again last season, especially in the postseason against the Houston Texans, who I want to say limited them to 50 rushing yards in that game, which is just a phenomenal performance against a team that really wants to go out and establish the run. So I think that is a huge key for the Chiefs, but you got to look at our defensive line. The depth chart in that room is very interesting this year. We've had a lot of reshuffling, bringing in Derek Nottie, and letting go of Mike Pennell. So I need these guys to step up. This is going to be an interesting test, especially without Omarr, Norman-Lott in the room. Jerry Tillery, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, and George Karlaftis are really going to have to clamp down on this Chargers run game. But if you've been keeping an eye on Chargers news lately, there is a major factor for them that I think is going to make it easier for us to establish the run, and that's that they're missing Rashawn Slater. If you're not familiar with Rashawn Slater, he is one of the best left tackles in the NFL, and he is set to miss the entire season with a torn patellar tendon. That is an enormous loss for LA. Honestly, it's kind of hard to overstate what a loss this is for LA. Jim Harbaugh is the type of coach that literally refers to his offensive linemen as weapons, and they don't have a better weapon in that group than Rashawn Slater. It's forced them to really reshuffle things along the offensive line. Here you can see on screen, now they've kicked Joe Alt, who played right tackle last season, over to the left side of the line. So that's going to be an interesting test for him. He has not played left tackle since his time at Notre Dame. But what I really think is an opportunity for Kansas City is the right side of that line, specifically Trey Pipkins III. He is the weak link in this offensive line, in my opinion, the piece that the Chiefs have to exploit. If you look at his splits against Rashawn Slater's last season, he's just not anywhere near as good. These are two different worlds of performance where Rashawn Slater is elite. Trey Pipkins is a liability on the offensive line. And we've seen that time and time again throughout his career, whether he's been playing guard, which he did last season, or tackle, which he's done at times prior to them drafting Joe Alt. So we are going to get into even more keys to victory, a player that I think the Chiefs absolutely have to shut down. But before we do that, we've got to get into a shout out to Prize Picks. We're going to get back to our keys to victory in just 1 second. But first, I want to show some love to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And when you download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS, you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Pro football kicks off tonight, and PrizePicks is here to make every snap more exciting. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. For tonight's game, I've got a lineup with Dak Prescott's special discounted projection on more than half a passing yard. That's a freebie. I'm also going more on Saquon Barkley's rushing at 93.5 yards. I think he's definitely going to get there. And I think Smith gets in the end zone as well to cash that lineup for us. That's a simple $20 to win over $100. So if you want to tail me on this one, fade me on this one, whatever you want, do it at PrizePicks. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. So, key number 2, now that we're back into it, is to take away Ladd McConkey. If you watched any Chargers football last season, which you should have watched at least 2 games of Chargers football, the games in which they played the Chiefs, you know how good Ladd is, and you know how important he is to this offense. He last season, as a rookie, remember, 124 targets, 91 receptions, 1,300 yards, 14 yards, almost 15 per catch, and 8 touchdowns. He is by far the best target that they have, the best weapon available for for Justin Herbert. So we need to force him to go to other options. And when you look at the rest of the options that are available to him, they're not good. Quentin Johnston, throughout his career, has had drop issues. Keenan Allen is over the hill. Trey Harris and Darius Davis, and Keandre Lambert-Smith are both rookies. None of these options are proven at this point in their careers other than Ladd McConkey. So focusing on taking him away, using Trent McDuffie to shadow him throughout this game. Now that we have Christian Fulton in the active roster to play that outside spot to lock down Johnston or Keenan Allen, we can let Trent McDuffie just go at Ladd McConkey all night long, and that is exactly what I want to see. I want to see McDuffie shadow him. I want to see him shut him down. Let's get into our third and final key to victory, and that is getting a receiver to step up. This is something we've talked about a couple times when I've been on this channel, is that the receiver room for Kansas City is going to be a massive key this year. When you look at the depth chart, it's pretty rough right now. We've got Rashee Rice suspended. He is easily our best receiver. We've got Jalen Royals, a rookie who we talked about earlier in the video, injured right now. He's not going to play in Brazil. So that opens up opportunities, in my opinion, for three guys in particular. And those three guys are Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Tyquan Thornton. Xavier Worthy is the number one guy I want to highlight, though. I've said it before, if the Chiefs are going to get through Rashee Rice's absence successfully, it's going to be because Xavier Worthy steps up. But I want to hear from you guys right now. Let me know, who do you think needs to be the number one Chiefs receiver to step up? Are you with me? Is it Xavier Worthy, or is it somebody else that I've mentioned? Let us know down in the comments. Let's get into some more discussion of why I think Xavier Worthy needs to be that guy who steps up, though. When you look at his season last year, as a first-round draft pick, he was great. 98 targets, 59 receptions, over 600 yards, over 700 total yards of offense, and 9 total touchdowns. We were able to get him involved in a number of different ways, both as a receiver and a bit of a gadget player as well, taking some jet sweeps. And he was super effective in that role. But if the Chiefs are going to get through the absence of Rashee Rice, he needs to go from being gadget-type receiver 2 to being a true receiver number 1. He needs to be a reliable, consistent option for Patrick Mahomes in this offense. But if he can't be the guy that steps up, there are some other options. Number 2, in my opinion, is Hollywood Brown. We brought him in last year as a free agent, and he just didn't really ever get going due to injuries. And throughout his career over the last few seasons, those have been a factor for him. He's only played 14 games over the last 4 years in 2 separate times. And in the other 2 seasons, he's played a combined 14 games, just 2 in the regular season last year before he really got going in the postseason. But he's 100% healthy now. And when you look back to that 2021 season where he was mostly healthy, had an elite quarterback like he's got this year in Patrick Mahomes, he had Lamar Jackson that season, that was a 1,000-yard season from him, 91 receptions and 6 touchdowns. And he's still just 28 years old. And hey, maybe I'm a little biased. I'm an Oklahoma Sooners fan. But I would love to see Hollywood be a major factor in this offense this season throughout the regular season if he can stay fully healthy. One last guy that I think really has an opportunity, and we talked about him in my video yesterday, Tyquan Thornton. He was a very interesting pickup for Kansas City this offseason, somebody that I've followed throughout his career from Baylor to New England, where he was expected to step up into that deep threat role, and it never really worked out for him with the Patriots. But can we blame him? Things with the Patriots in their passing game over the last few seasons have been far from consistent, going from Mac Jones to Drake May. Josh Dobbs was getting snaps at some points over there. But I think Tyquan Thornton has an opportunity now in Kansas City with an elite quarterback, like we talked about with Hollywood Brown in Patrick Mahomes, to step up and be that deep threat. We've looked for a guy to step up into that role, going through options after Tyreek Hill. Think about Mecole Hardman. Think about Sky Moore. Could Tyquan Thornton finally be that guy who steps into that role? When you look at him as a physical build, back to the scouting report, 6'2", 185 with speed to take the top off. He ran I want to say sub 4.3 40 back at the combine. This is an elite athlete who I think really should have an opportunity in this offense. But if he can't cash it tomorrow night, probably not going to see a ton more. So very interesting. We will see what Tyquan Thornton and the rest of the Chiefs are able to do tomorrow night in the season opener. You guys let me know if you think the Chiefs are going to win. Drop KC in the comments. Drop LAC in the comments if you're rolling with the Chargers. And make sure you like this video and subscribe. Like I said off the top, I'm trying to make this a permanent part of what I do here at Chat Sports. So let me know in the comments if you're enjoying what I'm doing here, and subscribe and hit that notification bell to lock us in.